He sat inside a small office in the corner of a rundown building in downtown Chicago. The air was dusty, the ceiling fan squeaked, and the only light came from a dirty window. He was broke, tired, and desperate. So when the man in the gray suit said, "It's easy work, just sign and start tomorrow," Logan didn't ask too many questions. The job was from a company called Galactic Holdings. Logan had never heard of it. But they were offering good pay, better than anything else he'd seen in months. He didn't have a car, barely had food, and hadn't paid rent in 2 weeks. Logan flipped through the contract. It was long, 24 pages, small print. And half of it didn't even make sense. Words like interstellar assignment and genetic licensing were written like they belonged in a sci-fi movie. He laughed. Quietly, "What kind of joke is this?" he muttered. Then he saw something strange at the bottom of page 9 in bold red letters. It said, "By signing this agreement, you offer full body, mind, soul, and genetic access to Galactic's off-world expansion program." Logan blinked. Off-world. He whispered, "What the hell is this?" But the man in the gray suit just smiled and said, "Just legal stuff. Don't worry. Everyone skips that part." Logan thought about leaving, but his stomach growled, and his bank account had exactly $2.18 in it. He sighed, picked up the pen, and signed, "Welcome to Galactic, Mr. Reese." The man said with a grin. That night, Logan lay in bed in his one-room apartment. The job was supposed to start in the morning, but they didn't tell him where to go. Just said, "You'll be contacted." He stared at the ceiling, feeling uneasy. Something didn't feel right. He checked the contract again. No phone number, no website, no address, just a strange symbol at the top that looked like a planet with wings. At midnight, he heard a humming sound, soft at first, then louder. He sat up, confused. The walls began to glow faint blue. Suddenly, a circle of light opened in the middle of his room, like a portal from a science fiction movie. "Nope, I'm dreaming," Logan said, backing away. But it wasn't a dream. The circle grew brighter, and a voice spoke not out loud, but inside his head. "Contract accepted. Transport initiating." Logan's body froze. His eyes widened as beams of light wrapped around his arms and legs, lifting him off the ground. He screamed, but no one could hear. His neighbors didn't even wake up. In seconds, he vanished into the light. Logan woke up in darkness. He was floating, like in water, but dry. A soft white glow filled the room, and strange symbols blinked on the walls. He gasped for air, but didn't need to breathe. He could move. But there was no gravity. "Where am one?" he whispered. Then, from the shadows, a tall figure appeared, glowing eyes, silver skin, and no mouth. It stared at him silently, then pointed at the contract, which now floated in front of him. The red letters had changed. Assignment confirmed. Status, property of Galactic Holdings. What the hell does that mean? Logan shouted, but the figure just turned and disappeared through a sliding door. Logan floated helplessly, fear rising in his chest. This wasn't Earth. This wasn't a dream. He had signed a contract. And now, he belonged to someone. Asterisk, he opened his eyes slowly. Blinking against a soft white light, above him was a smooth ceiling, glowing gently like a cloud. He sat up fast, heart pounding. The bed was metal, curved, and shaped like a cocoon. He was not in his apartment anymore. No windows, no fan, no walls with peeling paint. Only smooth surfaces, glowing lines, and strange humming sounds coming from behind the walls. His legs felt heavy. His arms had marks like something had scanned or injected him, and worse. He was wearing a gray suit with a symbol on the chest, the same planet with wings symbol from the contract. "What the hell is going on?" he whispered. Then the door opened. It didn't swing. It melted into the wall, like liquid metal. A figure stepped in, tall, thin, and not human. Its skin shimmered like polished silver, eyes glowing pale blue, no mouth, no nose. Just a smooth face and a long robe. The creature raised one hand and pressed something on the wall. A clear voice filled the room. "Welcome, contractee Logan Reese. To Galacorp employment vessel Thalaxis 9. Logan's mouth dropped open. "I didn't agree to this. I just needed a job," the voice answered calmly. "You signed the contract willingly, Mr. Reese. You now serve as an interstellar participant." In our expansion initiative, Logan jumped off the bed and ran to the door. It didn't open, he pounded on it, but it stayed solid. "Let me out." "Unauthorized exit," the voice replied. "Orientation begins shortly." The walls shifted, becoming see-through. Logan gasped. He was floating in space. Beyond the wall, stars sparkled. And massive structures hovered silently. Space stations. Ships, glowing planets in the distance. Below him was a beautiful planet. Green and blue, with rings spinning around it. He stepped back, shaking. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a dream. This was real. He sank to the floor, hands on his head. "I just wanted a job. I didn't sign up for aliens." Suddenly, a voice spoke beside him. Not the same robotic one. This one had sarcasm, humor, and attitude. "Yeah, they say that a lot." Logan looked up. Another being stood in the corner. This one, smaller. With teal skin and long black eyes, they had 4 fingers and sharp teeth, but wore a black jacket like a mechanic. Their name tag said, "Rin, Contract Processor, Class D. Who? What are you?" Logan asked. Rin grinned. "I'm Rin. And unfortunately for both of us, I'm your handler now." Logan stared at him. "Handler?" "Yeah, you humans call it assistant or guide. I make sure you don't get vaporized by accident," Rin said casually. "Also, don't drink the pink water here. It makes your skin see through." Logan blinked, unsure if that was a joke. "Where am I going?" Rin's smile faded. Orientation with the Queen. They walked down a glowing hallway. It wasn't like anything Logan had seen. The floor floated slightly under his feet. The air smelled like metal and flowers. Other beings passed them. Tall lizards in armor, floating orbs with blinking eyes. Small fuzzy creatures carrying files. Logan felt like the only human in a galaxy-sized office. "Why me?" he asked. "Why not someone smarter or stronger?" Rin gave him a sideways glance. "Because you signed the contract, Logan, and your DNA. Well, it's kind of special to them." "Special how?" Rin didn't answer. They stopped at a huge round door with gold symbols on it. Rin pressed a button and the door opened. Inside was a throne room, massive, glowing and silent. At the center sat a woman, but she was not human. She stood 8 feet tall, with glowing purple eyes, smooth gray skin with patterns like vines, and long hair that floated behind her like smoke. She wore a gown made of light, and behind her stood guards with tall spears and glowing armor. Logan froze. The alien queen stood slowly, looking at him like he was both trash and treasure. "Is this the one?" she asked, her voice echoing like music. Rin nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." Logan Reese, Earthborn, age 28, signed full contract rights. The queen stepped closer. Her eyes scanned Logan, then narrowed. "You look weak," she said. Softly, "but your blood carries the spark." "Spark?" Logan asked, heart racing. She leaned in. "You belong to me now, human. Your contract binds you. Not just to Galacorp, but to the legacy of the ancients." Logan's breath caught. He had no idea what that meant. But he knew one thing. He wasn't just an employee anymore. He was part of something much bigger and much more dangerous. She was beautiful in a way that made him nervous. Not human, not even close, but powerful, tall, and graceful. Her eyes glowed like violet flames. And her voice moved like wind through glass. She circled him slowly, her bare feet making no sound on the glowing floor. Logan could feel her gaze scanning him, judging him. She finally stopped and whispered, "You are the one written in the old scrolls. The contract has brought you here exactly when we need you most." Logan blinked. "I just needed a job," he said, trying to joke. The Queen didn't smile. "This is not a job, Logan Reese," she said. "You signed a bond older than your species remembers, one that connects your kind to mine by blood." Rin stepped beside him and gave a soft nudge. "She's being serious. Try not to faint." Logan looked up at the Queen again. "What do you mean by connects our kind? Are you saying humans and whatever you are used to work together?" The Queen turned and waved her hand. A wall lit up behind her, showing a glowing image, a galaxy spinning in slow motion. The image zoomed in, showing a planet that looked a lot like Earth. Beside it was a much larger planet, green and gold, between the two planets. Tiny lights moved ships, hundreds of them. "Long ago, humans were not confined to Earth," the Queen said. "Your ancestors were explorers, warriors, scientists. They helped us build an empire across the stars." The image changed again, showing humans standing beside aliens like the Queen. They wore strange armor and held tools glowing with blue energy. "But they disappeared," she said, her voice quiet now. "One day, the humans vanished from the stars. Some say they were hunted, others say they hid. But the contract remained." Logan felt cold. This didn't make any sense. Humans weren't space travelers. Not yet. But the Queen stared at him as if he carried all the answers in his blood. "You carry the spark," she said again. "Your DNA proves you are one of them, a descendant of the first pact." Logan shook his head. "I'm just a guy who couldn't pay his rent." The Queen reached out and touched his chest. A flash of light appeared between them, and Logan saw images in his mind. Not dreams, but memories. A burning city in the stars, people in golden armor, a child placed inside a silver capsule. What was that? He gasped. The Queen pulled back her hand. "Your blood remembers, even if your mind does not." Suddenly, a loud chime echoed through the room. A tall guard stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, the core is failing again. We've lost contact with Sector 17. The Queen's expression turned serious. She turned to Rin. "Prepare the new liaison. His work begins now." Rin hesitated. "Now?" "He just got here. He barely knows how doors work." The Queen gave him a cold look. "The contract is sealed. The timeline is moving faster than expected. We no longer have the luxury of waiting." Rin pulled Logan aside as the Queen turned away. "Okay, buddy. Here's the truth. Your signature didn't just get you a job. It put you at the center of a crisis." "Crisis?" Logan asked, still trying to process what just happened. "The Queen's world is dying." Rin said quietly. "Energy's running out, systems are failing. And they believe only a human, someone like you, can fix it." Logan backed up. "Me? I can barely fix my microwave." "Doesn't matter," Rin said. "The contract picked you, and now you're her problem." "And mine." Back in the throne room, the Queen spoke again. "You will begin training immediately. But no. This. Logan Reese, your choices matter. You are not a servant. You are a key." "A key to what?" he asked. She looked at him with ancient eyes. "To the survival of my people. Or their end." Logan looked down at his hands, still shaking. He had signed a contract for money, for survival, but instead, he was now caught between forgotten history and a dying alien kingdom. He didn't feel ready. He didn't feel chosen. But it didn't matter anymore. The contract was real. The Queen needed him, and something inside him had already begun to change. This chamber wasn't like the others. It was round, silver, and alive. The floor shifted under his feet like soft waves. Strange lights floated in the air, blinking in patterns. It felt more like being inside a machine than a room. Rin walked in behind him. Carrying a strange black cube under one arm, he looked more serious than usual. "This is where the fun begins." Rin said, "Training starts now. Hope you're good at not dying." Logan raised a brow. "Wait, what kind of training are we talking about?" Rin pressed the cube into a panel on the wall. The entire room lit up. A calm voice echoed from every direction. "Subject Logan Reese, confirmed. Initiating compatibility trials, round 1. Before Logan could respond, the floor dropped. He screamed as he fell, but it wasn't like falling through air. It was smooth, fast, and cold, like sliding down a tube of light. He landed in a rocky field under a red sky. Wind howled through sharp black trees. The ground cracked under his feet, and a loud roar shook the earth. A shadow moved between the rocks, huge, fast, and angry. Logan turned to run. But a wall of fire appeared in front of him. Then came a deep voice. "Activate survival instincts. Subject, failure will result in termination." Logan's heart raced. He wasn't trained for this. This wasn't a video game or a dream. This was real. He looked around, grabbed a metal rod from the ground, and turned toward the noise. A creature leaped from behind a rock. 8 legs, black skin, glowing red eyes. Logan screamed and swung the rod. The rod glowed in his hands, vibrating with energy when it struck the creature. A pulse of blue light exploded from the impact. The beast crashed into a tree and vanished into dust. Logan stood still, breathing hard. His hands trembled. But deep inside, he felt something. Knew a spark, like his body had been waiting for this. Rin's voice echoed again. "Not bad for our first round. You're still breathing, which is great." The scene faded, and Logan found himself back in the glowing room. He dropped to his knees, sweat pouring down his face. "What? What was that?" "Your first test," Rin said, appearing beside him. "You just survived a simulated attack from a Drelk beast. Most recruits don't last 20 seconds. "I don't want to be a recruit," Logan said, voice shaking. "I just wanted a paycheck," Rin sighed, sitting on the edge of a floating chair. "Yeah, well, you signed the contract. And now we need you for the next few days." Logan was pushed through one trial after another in one test. He had to decode ancient alien scripts while the room filled with poison gas. In another, he had to climb a floating mountain with gravity pulling in 3 different directions. He failed often, fell more than once, and vomited twice. But something strange kept happening every time he was close to death. The system adjusted to match him, like it was learning from him, or protecting him. Rin noticed it too. "You're triggering fail-safes that were never used before," he said. "It's like the ship recognizes you. Like you belong here, Logan." Didn't know what to say. He still felt out of place, still wanted to go home, but he also felt stronger, faster, more aware. Something deep inside was waking up. One day, after surviving a mental simulation of a galactic war, Logan sat alone in his room. He stared at his reflection in the smooth wall. He didn't look like the same man who had signed that contract. His eyes were sharper, his posture stronger. He felt like a different version of himself, a better one. Just then, the Queen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Logan Reese, report to the Royal Corps." Immediately, Rin met him outside the chamber. "Big moment," he said. "The Queen doesn't call just to say hi." They walked silently down a long hallway as they neared the end. Logan noticed tall figures standing guard, warriors in armor with glowing weapons. The doors ahead opened slowly, and inside was a chamber filled with a massive sphere of spinning light. The Queen stood next to it, her expression calm but intense. Asterisk, you've passed your trials," she said. "Now, It's time to begin your real purpose. She walked to the sphere and placed her hand on it. This is the core of our world, and it's dying. She looked at Logan, but it responds to you. Your DNA matches the lost architects, the ones who built this. Logan stepped forward slowly as he reached out. The sphere pulsed, not in warning, but in welcome. The Queen's voice softened. This is why the contract found you, Logan. Not for war or servitude, but for salvation. Logan touched the core, and everything changed. The room went completely silent. Even the humming of the machines stopped. A warm pulse of energy passed through his body. Like a wave touching every cell, his heartbeat slowed, his breath calmed, and for a few seconds, he wasn't standing on an alien ship. He was floating through memories that weren't his. He saw stars being born. He saw great cities made of silver and stone, and he saw humans building those cities with aliens like the Queen's kind, side by side. When he pulled his hand away, his legs gave out. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. The Queen stepped forward, calm but clearly watching him closely. It accepted. You, she said, that hasn't happened in 2,000 years. Rin let out a low whistle behind him. Okay, that's not normal. The Queen turned toward a console made of golden vines and glowing glass. She pressed her hand into it, and a new screen opened. It showed a planet, dry, broken, and stormy. Lightning ripped through the skies while massive machines sat silent on its surface. Beneath the planet, a red core pulsed weakly. That is Kyrex, she said, one of our oldest colonies. It held a backup core, but it has been offline for decades. She turned back to Logan. If that core dies, so does the entire star network, and with it, everything we built. Logan swallowed hard. So, you want me to go down there and fix it? Not want, she said. You're the only one who can. Rin handed Logan a black suit. Smoother than any cloth he'd ever touched, it shimmered slightly and adjusted as he pulled it on. The chest displayed a glowing version of the same symbol, planet with wings. This time, it felt like it belonged to him. Logan stepped into the small shuttle parked in the bay. It wasn't large, just enough for 4 people. Alongside him were Rin, the pilot, and a tall, silent warrior named Kalia. Kalia barely spoke. Her eyes were sharp, her armor scarred, and her movements silent like a ghost. But every time Logan looked at her, she was already watching him. The trip to Kyrax didn't take long, but the silence made it feel longer. The moment they entered the planet's atmosphere, the ship shook violently. Wind screamed outside, red lightning lit the sky, and alarms flashed. Hold on. The pilot shouted, "Atmosphere's angry today." Logan gripped his seat, knuckles white. Kalia stood without fear, balancing easily as if the chaos didn't bother her. The ship landed with a hard thud on broken ground outside the world. Looked dead, nothing but stone, fire, and ash-colored sky in the distance. Logan saw the core tower half buried, blinking slowly like a dying heartbeat. They walked across the rough terrain. Rin guided them using a floating map. The core is down there, buried under the tower. It's surrounded by fail-safes and traps. Logan asked. Traps? Why traps? Kalia finally spoke, her voice low and calm, to keep the wrong blood out. Logan's skin prickled. He was starting to understand this wasn't just about machines. It was about blood, history, and legacy. They reached a sealed door covered in glowing symbols. When Logan approached, the symbols shifted and rearranged, forming words in English. Welcome, bearer of the forgotten code. The door slid open. Inside was pure darkness. Logan stepped in first, his suit lighting up automatically. He walked down metal steps that curved deep into the ground. Strange carvings covered the walls, pictures of humans and aliens building stars together. At the bottom, he found the core, a cracked sphere pulsing weakly in a metal cradle. It looked almost alive, like a beating heart in a cage. He placed his hand on it again. This time, it shuddered under his touch. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the core. Wrapping around him, Kalia and Rin drew back. Weapons ready, but Logan didn't move. His eyes rolled back, and he saw again the fall of the old empire, the destruction, the betrayal, and then a command, a voice inside the core whispering, "You are the last builder. Restart the flame." When Logan opened his eyes, the core was shining bright gold. The cracked shell closed around it. The systems blinked green, far above them. Energy flowed through old wires for the first time in centuries. The lights came back. The world breathed again. Kalia stepped forward and looked at Logan with new eyes, not as a lost human, but as something more. "Are you one of the originals?" she asked quietly. Logan didn't answer. He didn't know who he really was anymore. But he knew one thing. He had just done something no one else could do. Asterisk behind him, the ancient core glowed bright gold. Around him, the dark surface of Kyrax no longer felt lifeless. Soft vibrations hummed beneath the ground as systems came back to life one by one. Kalia stood beside him, her armor slightly cracked, but her face calm. Even Rin, usually full of sarcastic comments, was quiet. They had all seen it. Logan had awakened something no one else could. The power of the core obeyed him. The symbols of the old builders responded to him, and the galaxy would soon know as their ship lifted off the planet's surface. Logan looked down from the window. Lights began to flicker across old towers. Kyrax was waking up, and the energy it generated would soon flow across the Queen's star network, bringing hope to systems that had gone dark for decades. But hope always attracted danger, and someone was watching. Back on the capital vessel, Logan was led into the Queen's private hall. She stood alone at a tall crystal window. "Watching the stars, you completed the impossible," she said without turning. "You have restored more than energy. You have restored belief." Logan stepped closer. "Then let me go home," he said quietly. "I've done what you needed." The Queen finally turned. Her expression wasn't angry. It was something else. Sadness, regret. "I wish I could," she said, "but there is something you do not know." Before Logan could ask, the doors burst open. An armored figure stormed in, taller than Kalia, dressed in red and black, General Threx. He marched forward and stopped inches from Logan. "He's a danger to the Empire." Threx growled. "He's not one of us." The Queen raised a hand. "Stand down," she said. "He is protected." But Threx wasn't listening. He pulled a blaster and aimed it at Logan. Kalia moved instantly, fast, like lightning, placing herself between them, sword drawn. "You'll fire through me," she said coldly. Rin appeared at the door, eyes wide. "This is bad. Really bad," he muttered. The Queen stepped forward, her voice low but sharp. "Threx, he is bound to the contract. As written by the first builders themselves, you will not touch him." Threx spit on the ground. "That contract is a lie. He's human, a broken race, a forgotten mistake." Then his eyes narrowed. "Unless the Queen has already chosen him as heir." Gasps echoed in the chamber. Even Kalia looked shocked. Logan stared, confused. "Heir?" he asked. "What are you talking about?" The Queen's eyes met his, and this time she did not look away. "Long ago, our two races were one alliance," she began. "But the humans were hunted, their bloodline almost erased. Only those carrying the original spark could one day lead the combined star empire again." Logan stepped back, his hands trembling. "You're saying?" "I signed a job contract, and it made me a ruler." "Not a ruler," she said, "but a key. You can unlock the future, or destroy it." Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. Red lights flashed, and the floor shook. Attack on the Royal Bay. Someone shouted through the comms, unknown forces breaching the shield wall. The Queen turned to Kalia. Take him to the escape shuttle, she ordered. Keep him safe. Logan stepped forward. No, I'm done running, he said. If I'm really that important, then let me fight for it. Kalia paused, then nodded once. She handed him a pulse weapon. Stay close to me, she said. And don't die. They ran through the halls as explosions rocked the ship. Alien troops in black armor stormed in from every direction. Blasters fired, sparks flew, and screams filled the air. Logan ducked behind a wall and fired. He wasn't a soldier, but he didn't miss. His body moved with strange confidence, like he had done this before in another life. Beside him, Kalia fought like a storm, graceful, fast, and deadly. She was bleeding, but didn't stop. Rin threw a grenade behind them and shouted, I told you paperwork was dangerous. They finally reached the Queen's private chamber again. But it was too late. Threx stood there, holding the Queen at blaster point. Her crown lay on the ground, broken. You let a human touch our core, Threx said, and now our bloodline is tainted. Logan stepped forward. Let her go, Threx, he said. You don't need to do this. Thrax laughed. You don't belong here, he spat. You were supposed to be entertainment, a toy for the labs. Logan slowly raised his hand, not toward Thrax, but toward the core interface beside the throne. The lights blinked, recognizing his touch. The chamber trembled, and the blaster in Thrax's hand exploded with a burst of light. He screamed and fell to the floor. Unconscious, the Queen stood still, watching Logan closely. Then she stepped toward him and said something he never expected. Logan Reese, by the old laws, I name you my equal, not a servant, not a tool, but partner in rebuilding what we lost. Logan stared at her, speechless. All of this had started with some silly paperwork, and now he stood at the center of an alien empire. Threx was unconscious. Guards were carrying him away. Kalia leaned against the wall, bleeding but alive. Rin sat on the floor, catching his breath, muttering something about never trusting alien paperwork again, and the Queen. She stood silently in front of Logan, her glowing violet eyes fixed on him, the ancient crown in her hand. But Logan wasn't looking at her. He was staring at the object hovering in the air beside them, the original contract. The same document he had signed in that dusty Earth office, the same contract that had changed his entire life. Its pages glowed softly now, floating and spinning in place like it was alive. Logan stepped closer, eyes locked on the shimmering text. It was no longer just a job agreement. Now it read, by accepting this bond, you become the bearer of the spark, protector of the bridge between stars. You will serve not as servant, but as sovereign or destroyer. Your choice. He reached for it. The Queen spoke gently behind him. You have the right to continue this bond, or break it. You can leave now, and we will never stop you. Or you can accept the weight of rebuilding a future for two species. Logan took the glowing contract in both hands. It felt warm, like holding sunlight. He stared at it for a long moment, his heart pounding in his chest. All he had wanted was a job. All he had expected was a few boring days of filing reports. Now he stood as a bridge between humans and an empire older than Earth's written history. He thought about Earth, his apartment, the broken ceiling fan, the $2 balance in his bank account. He thought about the stars, the core Kalia-S, eyes, Rin's jokes, and the Queen's quiet sadness. And he knew his choice. He clenched his fists and tore the contract in half. The glow vanished. The pieces turned to dust. Everyone froze. Even the Queen seemed shocked. You chose freedom, she asked softly. Logan turned to her. No, I chose something better. I don't want to follow a paper's orders. I want to help. Because it's the right thing to do. The Queen looked at him for a long time. Then she smiled. Truly smiled for the first time. She stepped forward and took the broken crown from the floor. She didn't place it on her own head. Instead, she handed it to Logan. Then lead, not by law, said, but by heart. Kalia bowed deeply, and Rin slowly got to his feet, brushing his dusty coat. Well, Rin said, looks like I'm stuck with you permanently now, Emperor Reese. Don't call me that, Logan said, grinning. I still can't even find the bathroom on this ship. Weeks passed. News of the Corps' revival spread across the galaxy. Worlds long cut off from power came back to life. Old enemies paused their wars, curious about the human behind them. Miracle, Logan worked with the Queen to rebuild old alliances. He listened more than he spoke, learned from Kalia, argued with Rin. He visited the children of mining colonies and laughed with alien elders. He never wore a crown. He never sat on the throne. But his decisions guided starships, rebuilt cities, and saved lives. One day, standing under the stars outside the capital, Tower Kalia walked beside him. You look different now, she said. Watching him from the corner of her eye, I feel different, he replied. Still don't understand everything though. Kalia nodded. You don't have to understand it all, she said. You just have to choose who you want to be. Logan smiled. Then I choose to be the man who tore the contract, but stayed anyway, far away. In the dark corners of space, others watched. Some feared him. Some wanted him dead. And some wanted to use him, but Logan didn't care. He had made his choice. He wasn't a prisoner. He wasn't a king. He was something new, a human standing between two galaxies, and the stars were just the beginning.